Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we're talking the return of Rogal Dorn. How the Praetorian could be more likely now than ever. General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe. So you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. So the return of the next loyal Primarch. Ever since the return of Roboute Guilliman, it's been the long-awaited dream. The impossible seemingly now a reality. However, for all it may now feel possible, let's get it out the way, it is still incredibly unlikely. The return of Guilliman was earth-shattering, the biggest shake-up the lore has ever received. Although any following Primarch obviously wouldn't be such a dramatic change, it would still mean a major shift to the current narrative. No matter which brother returns, it would still be a major thing, requiring a great deal of planning and forethought of where the story is ultimately going to go. Something that would only happen if and when GW is well and truly certain about it. For decades now, we've known the fates of the loyal brothers, mysterious as they may be. Russ received a vision and departed for the Eye of Terror. Corax too went there to hunt down his traitor brothers. Jagatai became stuck within the webway. The lion is sleeping beneath the rock. And Rogal disappeared upon an enemy vessel, with only his hand remaining to be found. Now, despite technically all the Primarchs theoretically as likely to return as each other, the general consensus has been that Lionel Johnson is the most likely Primarch to return next. We know exactly where he is, beneath the rock, whereas his other brothers within the Eye of Terror or the Webway are a little vague. We also know, thanks to the Dark Angel's codexes over the years, that the lion's wounds are long healed. And now his arch nemesis and betrayer Luther has recently escaped, certainly feeling the stage is being set. Combine this with his tumultuous history with Guilliman, it all really feels like the lion has to be the next brother to return. And I fully expect he will be, if it ever happens. We've even had rumours suggesting the lion is coming in the next edition. However, as always, you have to take those with a pinch of salt. I've still been waiting on those Fulgrim rumours for about 5 years now. However, today I wanted to have a little discussion about Rogal, because for me his case to return has never been so strong, and perhaps as likely. There was a time when for me the return of Rogal Dorn was the least likely of any loyal Primarch, and by far. Though they received a supplement in the previous edition, the Imperial Fists have rarely if ever got their own codex, compared to the likes of the Dark Angels and Space Wolves for example. And so for me they always traditionally have felt more like yellow Ultramarines over the years, even being in the Ultramarines Codex back in 2nd edition, which was my entrance into the hobby. The same could be said for the Primarch, traditionally portrayed as someone very similar to Guilliman, dedicated to duty, a strategist at heart, and dare I say equally as boring, at least if you ask any of his fellow brothers. However, the Heresy series has done wonders in bringing the mythical Primarchs to life, the realities between the stereotypes. And while Lionel Johnson for me has benefited the most out of all the Primarchs from the Heresy in its entirety, as we have neared its ending he has really disappeared into the sidelines, and it has quite clearly been Rogal Dorn who has rose to the fore. The Siege of Terror was his time to shine, and shine he has. The Praetorian of Terror has truly shown why he was the best choice for the role. He has had some absolute standout epic moments, and some truly endearing ones too, as he alone feels the entire pressure on his shoulders for whether his father will live or die. Thanks to the Heresy series, Rogal has finally set himself apart from Guilliman, and not only that, in many people's eyes proved himself the better. Hey, I'm not saying it's a fact, I'm just saying that's many people's opinions now. Now this alone doesn't mean Rogal is more likely to return than before, but it does certainly help. You certainly feel that Rogal is more popular than ever now. At least I do. I use myself as a prime example. In the earlier years of the Heresy, Rogal was obviously still great as a Primarch, but he was certainly not one of the more interesting ones. Now I absolutely love the Praetorian, and while there's still others who are more my personal favourites, Rogal has gone up astronomically in my estimations. A far more intriguing character than the reputation he previously had. Along with this, we have also seen the development of what we know now of the Scouring. How we know now the disagreement between him and Guilliman is truly going to become a conflict, threatening the very survival of the Imperium. And that Rogal is going to become consumed in his grief and fury at his own perceived failure to protect his father. The extra depth and information we have of this has added an extra level of excitement and intrigue to any figurative Rogal return. Now it's not two peas in a pod getting along like a house on fire. There's a genuine underlying tension. One that could be far greater than we ever previously imagined if Rogal does return. And we are only just about to get to see these events firsthand within the Scouring series, which really makes any return of Rogal Dorn to the mainline narrative even more tantalising. Being able to tell the relationship between Dorn and Guilliman in both timelines at the same time. The two battles for the Imperium's future, side by side. Perhaps the only thing really counting Rogal out of a return was the complete lack of any hint or remote breadcrumbs of it in the current timeline. Corax we've seen alive in the Eye of Terror. Russ we've had mentions of the Wolf Time and his sons now actively searching for him. The White Scars we have seen entering into the webway to find Jagatai. Vulcan was obviously found alive during the War of the Beast series, and the Dark Angels are brewing war against Alufa. However, for Rogal, he never got a mention, at least nothing remotely exciting. However, that now could be beginning to change. And I'm going to have to throw out a spoiler warning here for the novel Helbrecht, Knight of the Throne. As in this novel, Helbrecht receives a vision from the God Emperor of his Primarch Rogal Dorn. Now here Rogal is at his furious best, prosecuting his war during the Scouring, bringing death to the traitors. We'll dive in and analyse it in depth another day. But having Rogal brought up in a vision from the God Emperor within the current narrative, for me is a real positive step forward for Rogal. Yes, this is just a standalone story, and nothing to get too carried away with, but it's the first real breadcrumbs we have had of a reference to Rogal in a big way. Anytime you get a Primarch in one of the Emperor's visions, that is a big thing, and it most definitely has meaning. The whole narrative of the story really ties Rogal to his wrathful best, eliciting the image of a vengeful warrior determined to rid chaos from the galaxy, which certainly works for the current situation. Guilliman himself brought up Rogal in his meeting with Helbrecht, implying Rogal would never have conceded to the Codex if circumstances hadn't forced him, which again is implying more to come from this ever-developing story. The entire premise of Helbrecht's quest as well, to find a shard of Rogal Dorn's armour, really ties him now more physically to the current narrative than he ever has been before. Let me be clear, the Lion is still by far the most likely or reasonable Primarch to return. If, and that's a big if, we ever do get another brother return. However, this is definitely a move forward for Rogal, and given his popularity, given the climactic end of the heresy and scouring to come, the truth revealed of his and Guilliman's fallout, I fully expect that this is only the beginning. And over the next few years there will be more references to the Praetorian to come. More revelations and teases of his true fate, the true relationship he had with Guilliman by the end. With the Emperor now active more than ever within the galaxy, with the Black Templars receiving visions more than ever, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more visions of his Praetorian to come, and that of all the Primarchs who could possibly return, Rogal could well begin to be seen as the next man up. But as always everyone, what do you think? Like me, do you feel like Rogal is now more mainstream than ever? That the past few years have really given Rogal a great boost to his reputation? That now more than ever he has more fans within the fanbase, and a developing story that has really made him stand apart from his brother Guilliman, making any return of his far from another Guilliman in yellow, or gold as it may be the case for Rogal, but instead a character who could now represent the most interesting Primarch return in its own right. As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. With that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.